Good evening, and welcome. I call to order this meeting of council for Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. One point of order, Administration Bill number 2, 2025, which is listed on the agenda later this evening for its first reading, would not be presented today. And for all those able and willing, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Harris, can you please call the roll of members?
Yes, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Mann.
Here.
Mr. Arroyo.
Here.
Mr. Glees.
Here.
Ms. Craig.
Here.
Ms. Diaz.
Here.
Mr. Hirsch.
Here.
And President Baker.
Council President Baker is excused this evening. A few friendly reminders. Please note this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. If you are making a public comment this evening, please do so at the microphone and state your name and address for the meeting record. Also, please be sure to silence any cell phones and devices. First, I'll hear a motion for the approval of the March 11th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Mr. Harris?
Mr. Mann.
Aye.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Mr. Glees.
Aye.
Ms. Craig.
Aye.
Ms. Diaz.
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch.
Aye.
Next, we'll hear any proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition. Mr. Harris, do we have any?
We do. The first is Council Resolution number 21, 2025. A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster designating March 2025 as Women's History Month in the City of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. This resolution was brought forward by Council President Baker honoring Women's History Month. I'll open it up for any council comments. Any comments from the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Mann.
Aye.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Mr. Glees.
Aye.
Ms. Craig.
Aye.
Ms. Diaz.
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch.
Aye. We'll move into our first public comment period. This is reserved for citizens who have contacted the city clerk prior to the meeting to request the opportunity to address city council. The duration of comments are limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Harris, do we have any?
Yes, we do. First this evening is Ahmed Zaki. And please make sure the green light is on the microphone.
There you go.
Hello, good evening, City Council member and Ms. Mayor. My name is Ahmed Zaki, 336 Beaver Street, Lancaster, PA. A lot of people know our story. I think we no need to repeat it again. I'm here again for the third time to talk about justice. Unfortunately, there is no justice. When we post on our Facebook page about our problems, some people recommend us to go to City Council and address your problem at City Council. And we got some feedback or some help from the two members of the City Council, personal help. Unfortunately, it was not useful. And we expected from City Council, as the people recommend us, that maybe they could help us, recommend us to the court or help us with a public defender. Unfortunately, nobody was cared about this. Even 50% of our problem caused by city, Lancaster City Inspection Department. But nobody was cared. And we all, and at the end of the things, everybody, I think, bowed to the flag, and at the end of the song was justice. That always take me my attention, justice, when I'm hearing the justice, and I think I find I got allergic with the name of the justice, because there is no justice. I'm as a citizen, when I swore to this country, I followed the law, I paid everything, I never did anything wrong. But official, nobody followed the law. I think by barking or crying, nothing will change. It is already written in modern slavery book. There is no justice for the poor people. If there is something of everything is a scam, a circle of a scam on the court that turning you around again, you're coming back to the money. I should teach my kids, and everybody should teach, that they should be careful how system working here. And who is right, who is wrong is not a problem. Who is the richer, who have money, they are the winner. And we cannot make American great again, some people saying again, or right now, anytime, without justice. Justice is the greatness for everything. Without justice, a country cannot be a country. A father cannot be a father. A society cannot be a society if there is no justice. That's all. I think I have to keep silent and sit in my place. And I think I cannot do anything more of this. What I did it for 3 times in here. After this, I have to keep my problem in my heart and sit with myself. Oh, thank you so much.
You gotta pay for justice.
Mr. Harrison, next comment?
I'm sorry, next speaker is Mara Humble.
Hi. My name is Maura Condon Umble, and I live at 231 North Shippen Street. Thank you all for giving me a few minutes. 6.5 years ago, I lost my son to firearm suicide. And over the last couple of years, to try to deal with my grief and loss, I decided to get involved with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense and Ceasefire Pennsylvania. I learned with these organizations that most gun deaths in this country are suicides. That shocked me. Most gun deaths in this country are suicides. I assume that might be shocking to a lot of people. Ceasefire Pennsylvania and Moms Demand Action are dedicated to reducing or hopefully eliminating gun violence of all kinds, including suicide. So I'm here tonight to encourage all members of City Council and all city leaders and anybody else who's interested that's here tonight to attend a Ceasefire Pennsylvania panel discussion on this Thursday night at 6:30. It's being hosted by Benchmark Program, which perhaps you're familiar with that wonderful program, a very impactful community violence intervention program on South Prince Street. We'd be so grateful. I would be so grateful for as many of you as possible. Some of you have actually already RSVP'd, and I'm so grateful for that. I'd be so delighted. We'd all be so delighted to see as many of you and the mayor as well, if you are available. And as I said, it's open to anybody who's interested. I have a QR code with the registration information about the details and RSVP information here. Thank you.
Mr. Harrison, next speaker?
Next speaker is Daryl Legase.
Hi, my name is Darrell Legacy. I live in the 100 block of North Mary. Thank you so much for letting me speak here tonight. I was going to come and speak about the use of force incident from almost a month ago now, but I think other people are going to do a better job of that. So instead, I'm going to talk about the council and the future of the council. So there's very likely that next year, there's potentially a vacancy on the city council, right? If one of the 2 city councilors who are running for mayor win, there'll be a vacancy. The last time there was a vacancy, you all asked for applicants and you chose somebody. And so I hope you do that again if there ends up being a vacancy. And if you do, I'm going to apply. But here's the thing, I hope you don't pick me. I live in the southern end of Chestnut Hill, right? Not the rich, fancy area, but still, Chestnut Hill. If I go out my front door and lean a little bit, I can actually see the mayor's house, or at least your front door. My area doesn't need more money or more investment, right? There are lots of parts of this city that need it. So instead, I hope you pick somebody who's working class. I hope you pick somebody who makes under, say, $50,000 a year. I hope you pick somebody who's paycheck to paycheck in the Southwest or maybe in the Southeast. I hope you pick a parent. And here's the radical part, pick a renter. There's no reason you cannot, according to the regulations, pick someone who rents in the city. I think that would make a huge difference. So here's the other thing. I know that the council has certain powers and certain things they can't do. You can't fire the police chief. You can't suspend the officers. You can't demand that officers walk a beat. But what you can do, and I hope you will, is you can call out the chief when he's wrong. And you can call out the mayor when I think the mayor is wrong. You can do it here at City Council. You make it proclamations. You can do it personally. You can do it in the newspaper. You can go to protests. You can lead protests. You can march with us. And I think we need to see more of that. It's not going to help your political advancement. Like, if you do that, you're probably not going to become mayor or state representative or state senator. But here's the thing. It's the right thing to do. You have a chance here to change things, right? And I think and hope that you're spending, let's say, one term changing things here. And then you go back and go to your old job. Instead of staying on the council for terms and terms and terms and not changing things. This is your chance to change the lives of people that live in this city. And there's a lot of things that I think you can do, and I think one of them is standing up and being more vocal. So I hope you do.
Mr. Harris, next speaker.
Next speaker is John Mena.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Mina of 24 West Main Street, Strasburg, Pennsylvania. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what Fannie Lou Hamer said to the world in 1964. And tonight, during Women's History Month, we honor her legacy by telling the truth. We, too, are sick and tired. Sick and tired of the same cycle. A video goes viral. Community members express outrage, and the police respond with a statement that tells us nothing, except that, once again, the public is wrong and the department is right. But this time, Lancaster showed up 2 weeks ago. Residents, partners, and yes, members of this very council agreed that what happened on March 2nd is not what community policing should look like. And yet, we've been here before. This being the third incident in as many months where force was used instead of de-escalation. Instead of transparency, we get a press conference that blame the kids, that blame the parents and the community, all while protecting the system that failed it. We don't need more excuses. We need action. And that is why we submitted our resolution 2 weeks ago. We asked for an independent review of the March 2nd incident, not one led by the department itself. The department can't police itself. That's why we demanded it. Public release of all past and future use of force reports. We want to track patterns and hold systems accountable. Clarity around the role and authority of the Public Safety Committee. And last but certainly not least, establishing a civilian review board so the people have a seat at the table where their safety is being decided. Let's be clear, this is not just about one incident or one officer. This is about trust. Trust that has been broken, but it can be rebuilt if courage is shown now. Courage means facing the hard truths about our systems. It means not retreating in the bureaucracy or hiding behind internal reviews. It means standing up and saying, we will not accept this as normal. We are not here to attack you. We are here because we believe Lancaster can do better. And we know you believe that too. But belief without action is complicity. So tonight we ask for more than words. We ask for partnership, policy, and political will to stand with the people who elected you. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic, nor popular, but he must take it because his conscience tells him it is right. That time is now. Thank you.
Mr. Harris, next speaker.
Next speaker is Abby Haney.
Hi, thank you. My name is Abby Haney. I live on the 600 block of East Madison Street, and today I come to you as co-chair of the Lancaster Democratic Socialists of America. The press conference held by Chief Mendez and Mayor Strachey on March 18th was nothing more than an attempt to deflect blame from the police department onto literally anyone else, the kids in the city, their families, and the community. It was also a tacit endorsement of the treatment of these children and what they received, regardless of prior interactions that they had with the police. There was no excuse for the force that was used on them. This was and will continue to be a failure of the Lancaster Police Department to de-escalate. Frankly, it was disgusting that these kids were characterized as criminals and that the insinuation for the use of force was that they could have been carrying guns. The issue of juvenile gun control in Lancaster had absolutely nothing to do with the situation. It was yet another instance of deflecting blame onto anyone but the officers involved. The statement spoke of the ways your department is involved in the Lancaster community. Sure, it's great that one of your officers plays basketball once a week with kids, but that doesn't build trust. What officers can be hired from outside of Lancaster City to come into our community to police Black and brown people there, it's automatically an imbalance of power, and it seems clear to us why there's a lack of trust and respect. And to scapegoat the community, to accuse them of not showing up for their kids is disingenuous. Lancaster is home to diverse community organizations that serve our youth. Finally, to give yourselves a pat on the back about your accreditation, and in your statement with the call for folks to join the police department if they want to stay in public safety, was tone deaf and out of touch. Instead of using more taxpayer dollars on expanding policing, why doesn't the city establish a public safety commission or a civilian review board where members of this community have the agency to hold our police department accountable? Surely, a good faith demonstration of trust would include community oversight. Our demands as a collective of organizations remain resolute. Number one, an update on the status of an independent review process. We cannot trust the police to investigate themselves impartially. Number two, a public commitment to making all past and future use of force reports available to residents, not just quarterly. And three, to establish a public safety commission or have a plan in place for a civilian review board. These demands are not radical. They are a step towards the transparency and accountability that members of this very council called for at the last city council meeting. Should they be unwilling to compromise, it sends a message that the city and its governing bodies are unwilling to prioritize resident safety. Lancaster DSA is calling on you to have the moral courage and fortitude to follow through on these demands. We refuse to have our children policed this way. Thank you.
Mr. Harris, next speaker.
Next speaker is Jackie Snyder. And next speaker is Megan Keller. And the next is Susie Gomez.
Susie Gomez, 100 block of North Reservoir Street. I'm going to hand you guys a document. Okay, so you have in front of you a page from the newspaper article where Amanda, Izzy, and Xavier and Jamie was also in a riot at the protest. Here, it was told to this council that they were to create a commission for Blacks and Browns affairs. Can you, since Amanda's not here, Jamie, tell me what happened to that 2020 policy that you guys had pushed?
Are you done with your public comment?
I'm sorry?
Are you done with your public comment?
Am I done with my public comment? That's a question, sir.
Yeah.
Are you refusing to answer?
Are you done with your public comment, Ms. Gomez?
No, I'm not done with my public comment. I'm asking a question. Are you refusing to answer? There was a policy that was pushed in 2020, and Ms. Bakay had asked council to do the same exact thing. And what you see in front of you is a draft that Lancaster can adopt. Since nothing happened in 2020, here's a draft that Janet gave me from Harrisburg City Council. But we all know that nothing will happen because you block her on everything, and you can't even answer a question. Now, when you were involved in this protest, you guys fought to put in place a commission board to hold these officers accountable. What I'm asking you is a simple question. What happened?
It was their show.
Are you done with your public comment, Ms. Gomez?
That's what happened.
Yeah. I think I'm done with my public comment because it goes to show that you don't even have an answer. It goes to show that, you're in question also.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. And from my understanding, there was a commission that was established at the time. There was also a police working group that was established during those protests. Mr. Harris, any other speakers?
Next speaker is John Tel Tolan.
Good evening. John Tel Tolan, first and only block of Wise Ave. I'm not sure if the Lancaster City Police Department is aware of this, but the excuses they have given, claiming videos show only part of the story, labeling these children as juveniles to criminalize them, and attempting to shift the narrative, are not having the effect they think they should. These are children, and I do not care what they have done. Their treatment at the hands of police was unjustifiable. I am certain if this had happened in Lititz or even here within city borders and our current department, if these were average white children from Lititz, the response would have been vastly different. That is the point. The excessive force used, especially on minors, was not justified. In an era where state-sanctioned violence and suppression are becoming alarmingly normalized, the swift response from the community is more than warranted. It is our right to challenge the rights of your own constituents to demand that we accept violence against our children without pushback speaks volumes about who you are and what you truly represent. You must ask yourselves, which side of history do you stand on? The press conference held by Chief Mendez and Mayor Sirachi was not an attempt at accountability. It was a deflection, distraction, and an insult to the people demanding real answers. Instead of transparency, they chose to place blame on the children, their families, and the broader Lancaster community, completely ignoring the fact that it was the police who escalated this situation. They justified the unjustifiable. Blaming the people you are supposed to serve does not erase the failure of your leadership. The refusal to release the body camera footage, the dismissal of public concern, and the unwillingness to engage with the actual demands of this community prove that the administration does not value the voices of those seeking justice. Instead, working to build trust, you offer bare minimum lip service. Instead of listening to the people, you retreat into the empty statements and excuses. But let me make something clear. This community is not letting up. We are not going anywhere. If there is no trust, there will be constant calls for accountability. If there is no justice, there will be a constant chorus of voices demanding change. If there is no action, there will be continued pressure, confrontation, and resistance. At every turn, we will not be pacified, we will not be silenced. Let me be absolutely clear about what is happening here. This is not just about one incident. This is about a long pattern of abuse, a long pattern of Black and brown residents being brutalized, a long pattern of police being given free rein to harm without consequence. This is about accountability, not just for what happened on March 2nd, but for the policing practices that have allowed to keep happening. So let me make this even even clearer. We will not stop until justice is served. We will not stop until these demands are met. We will not stop until real systemic change is made. If you think we will forget, if you think we will grow tired and move on, you are mistaken. The people of Lancaster are watching. The history is recording how you choose to respond. This moment is defining. The question is, will you act with integrity or accountability? Or will you allow the city's leadership to be defined by deflection, distraction, and dishonesty? And that is why Lancaster organizations alongside this community are making demands. The city has a choice. Either meet these demands or be prepared for the relentless, unwavering pushback. We are not here to ask politely. We are not here to wait until the outrage dies down and officials in power hope we forget. We are here to demand real structural change. And here's what that looks like. An independent review of the incident completely outside of Lancaster City Police Department. Their word alone is not enough. Their internal review already cleared the officers involved. We do not trust a system that investigates itself. What do you take us for? Public access to past and present use of force records, reports. Transparency is not optional. If you have nothing to hide, then release the records. Let the community see the truth. A civilian review board with actual power. Why is there no permanent independent oversight of policing? A public safety commission is not a radical idea. It is a necessity. Immediate action against our officer, Hatfield and the other officers involved. We call for death duty within 48 hours. We call for the changes against these youth to be dropped, and yet no action has been taken. That is unacceptable. Let me be clear. This does not end here. They can hold press conferences, they can spin their narratives, they can pretend they're doing their jobs, but as long as they refuse to be accountable, the city will be filled with voices demanding change. You do not get to use excessive force and expect the people to be silent. You do not get to betray your constituents and then act surprised when we push back. History is watching. Lancaster will be remembered for what it chooses to do at this moment, and we will make damn sure they know the people are not backing down. We are asking for change. We are not asking for change, we are demanding it. And we will not stop until we see it happen. Thank you.
Mr. Harris?
That was the first public comment period.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. I'll close out the initial public comment period. As a reminder, there will be one at the conclusion of this meeting or the end of the legislative agenda. Next is reports requested by council. Mr. Harris?
We had none tonight.
Thank you. Next, we have interim reports of committees of council.
We had none of those either.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. We'll move into our legislative agenda. First, we'll begin with the ordinance of, Administration Bill number 1, 2025.
An ordinance authorizing the incurrence of non-electoral debt of the city of Lancaster, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, by issuance of $41,095,000 principal amount general obligation bonds, series of 2025, issued for the purpose of providing funds for 1, general municipal projects, including upgrades and improvements to the city's wastewater collection and treatment facilities, the city's water treatment and distribution facilities, the city's parks and related facilities, the streets and traffic signals within the city and related facilities, each as set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto, and other capital projects of the city as determined by the city. 2, capitalizing interest on the bonds, and 3, paying the costs of issuing and insuring the bonds, determining to sell the series of 2025 bonds, at a private sale by invitation, approving the form of the series of 2025 bonds, fixing the number, date, interest, and maturities of the 2025 bonds, making a covenant for the payment of the debt service on the 2025 bonds, pledging the full faith, credit, and taxing power of this city in support of such bonds, providing for the filing of required documents, providing for the appointment of a sinking fund depository for the 2025 bonds, and authorizing execution, sale, and delivery thereof, and other necessary action.
Motion to approve.
Second. Mr. Harris, I would also like to make a motion to amend the bill.
Can you turn up the volume? It's very hard to hear. We cannot hear.
Sorry, the mic isn't
I
that
think
good.
the volume's low. It's hard to hear.
And I'm sorry, this is a motion to amend?
Motion to amend the bill.
We need a second for that.
Second. And Mr. Harris, please forgive me. Should I go ahead and read the motion to amend at this time?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you. The motion for the motion to amend, Bond Counsel has provided each of us with a black line version of the ordinance authorizing and directing the issuance of the general obligation bonds, series of 2025, in an original principal amount equal to $41,095,000. Such ordinance was introduced as Administrative Bill Number 1, 2025, before this council on March 11, 2025. I hereby move to amend the ordinance labeled Administration Bill Number 1, 2025, to include the additions, deletions, and other changes referenced on such black-lined version of the ordinance, which will be reworded with the minutes of this meeting and which can be summarized as follows. In the third line of the caption, deleting $blank and replacing it with $41,095,000. In the third, whereas clauses, deleting $blank and replacing it with $41,095,000. Inserting into the fifth whereas clause the name Robert W. Bard and Company Incorporated as the purchaser. In the sixth whereas clauses, deleting $blank and replacing it with $41,863,106. In section 1 of the ordinance, deleting $blank and replacing it with $41,095,000 as the amount of indebtedness authorized by the ordinance. In section 2 of the ordinance, deleting $blank and replacing it with $41,095,000 as the aggregate principal amount of general obligation bonds, series of 2025, authorized by the ordinance. In section 9 of the ordinance, inserting the optional redemption provisions of the bonds as the bonds which are stated to mature on or after November 1, 2025, are subject to redemption prior to maturity at the option of the city in whole or in part on November 1, 2034, or any date thereafter. On Exhibit C, attaching the amortization schedule as provided by the purchaser, a copy of the proposal of the purchaser has been attached to the ordinance as Exhibit D. That is the motion. We have a motion and a second, and I will invite Director Campbell to give us an explanation on
Plain language.
Thank you. So this is the second reading for the ordinance for the 2025 general obligation bond. Daryl is handing out some information that he will discuss in just a minute. But as you've heard from the lengthy motion, the amounts have been finalized based on the bond auction, which happened today, and the final costs. We discussed the project list and amounts in detail at the Finance Committee on March 3rd, so we won't get into that tonight. But before Daryl comes to talk about the final numbers, I did want to just share a note on our bond rating. With each proposed bond financing, Moody's is our bond rater, and they do an extensive review of our financial information to determine if an update of our bond rating is warranted. Last summer, so in 2024, Moody's moved us from an A3 rating with a negative outlook to an A3 rating with a stable outlook. And in review for this current bond financing, at the beginning of March, Moody's has moved this to an A3 rating with a positive outlook, which is great news. They saw the adoption of home rule as a very positive move for the city, as well as small increases in recent years to our emergency fund balances. This rating plays a key role in many things, but including directly affecting the interest rate for the bonds that we receive on bond financing. So I did want to just note that. And on that note, I'm going to ask Daryl to come and talk about the numbers.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Good evening, Mayor, and members of council. With that introduction, I'm just really going to update you on the discussion we had during the Finance Committee on March the 3rd. Ms. Campbell already indicated that we went through the rating process. We also put together an official statement, or a preliminary official statement. It's a lot of information, kind of good background on the city. economic, demographic, financial information that's been provided to Mr. Harris, and I believe it's been provided to you as well electronically. So, you know, if you're looking for something to review, it's certainly some good information about the city. This is really what's used to essentially market the bonds. So we wanted to get that to you for your review. Tina shared the great news that the city's bond rating was affirmed at A3 and that you were given a positive outlook. It sounds just like it sounds. Positive outlook, meaning the city has a positive outlook from a financial perspective. So since we met at the Finance Committee, again, we've been working through that process to bring these bonds to market. You had your first reading on March 11th, and today, as I think you're aware, we have a bond auction to basically bid out your bonds to really all underwriters, really from coast to coast, to really bid it out and know that we're getting you the best rates available in the market today. So we did that today from 12 to 12:15. In this handout on page 1 is the summary. We ultimately got 2 bidders to bid on your bonds. They submitted 4 bids throughout those 15 minutes. It's important to talk, even though we have 2 bidders, some of these bidders, particularly Robert Baird, works with a number of firms. There's actually 25 firms in their so-called syndicate. So you really, even though you see it, okay, it's 2 bidders, it's really more bidders who are actually engaged in purchasing your bonds. You know, we go through this competitive process to, again, get you the best rate available. At the end of the day, Robert Baird, the highlighted, came in at the best interest rate of 4.742, a lot more decimal points. The other bidder was Wells Fargo. Their best next bid was 4.85%. They actually improved their bid throughout the process by 0.08%. To put those numbers in perspective, the difference between the 4.74% and the 4.85% is about $880,000 in interest expense. So actually looking at the best bid and the first, if you call it worst bid, you know, that was about 0.2%, so that's $1.5 million. So again, why you go through this process? With that, I'll flip forward to the next couple of pages, which again are pretty much consistent with what you saw at the Finance Committee meeting. I can certainly go over these in the detail, but suffice it to say that when we focused during the Finance Committee meeting, essentially with doing these borrowings to provide $19 million for general fund projects, $10.3 million for sewer projects, and $9.1 million for water projects, for a grand total of a little under $38.5 million. Even though we're doing one bond issue, they really have 3 specific and concise components to fund the projects for those 3 funds: the general fund, again, the sewer fund, and the water fund. Really, the numbers are about the same as we talked about, so I don't know. I'll hit the highlights here. So the general fund, we didn't want to have any debt service impact in the current year because, of course, you've already adopted your budget. So when you look at the existing debt service numbers of $7.5 million for general fund, ultimately you're going to have about a $900,000 increase in 2027, and that'll be the total impact resulting from these bonds. We're going to look at the graphs. I think a lot of you like the graphs better than the numbers. Looking over to sewer fund, to provide the $10.4 million for sewer projects, you're starting at existing debt service of about $4.7 million. In 2026, next year, because of an increase that's already happening, the total increase in sewer fund debt service is going to be about $150,000, and that's the full impact over the next 3 years. The water fund, for the $9.1 million of projects, the existing debt service is about $14 million a year. Debt service was already going to go up. I'm going to stress this, already going to go up, the green highlighted number, in 2026 by about $1 million. It will go up another almost $1 million, $985,000, again in 2028. That's really the impact of this borrowing. So even though you look at it and say, okay, by 2028, water fund debt service is going to go up by $2 million. Again, $1 million of that was already going to happen because of a previous borrowing. So the incremental or additional impact is about $985,000 from this borrowing to provide the $14 million. So those, again, are the numbers. Again, they're pretty much spot on of what you saw during the Finance Committee meeting. The next pages are all the numbers we just talked about in a graphical presentation. I think what this shows best is how there will be step downs or reduction in debt service in outward years to either provide budget flexibility going forward, or should you need to borrow additional money in the future, again, is that budget flexibility for additional borrowings. So page 3 is the general fund, the red lines being the existing annual debt service and the green lines being the resulting debt service after you do this financing. So again, converting the numbers I talked about on the first page, in 2028, your existing debt service is going to go up about $900,000, but after 3 years, it's actually going to drop then $1.1 million in 2030. Then you can see it'll drop again in 2035 by another $1.4 million. And this financing is being done over a 20-year term. All of these terms, when I say that this was financed over a period of 20 years, it's to match the useful life of the project. Obviously, it's appropriate that you finance the projects for not more than the useful life of the projects. Think of it like your car. You don't finance your car for 10 years when you know you're going to need a new one 5 years from now. The next page is the sewer fund. This is to provide the $10.3 million of projects. We're going to do this over a 30-year term. Obviously, the projects that are being done for the sewer fund are much longer life, so again, it's appropriate to do it over a 30-year term. There in 2026, you'll have the increase of about $150,000. Out in 2035, when the green line goes down, your debt service is going to go down by about $930,000. And then again in 2043, it'll go down another $500,000. And lastly, in 2049, it'll go down about $2.2 million. So again, should you need to borrow in the future or otherwise, you have that budgetary capacity or those reductions in your existing debt service. We'll talk about the gold bars. That is one thing that's slightly different from when we were at finance. Ms. Campbell and I will talk about that. Lastly, on page 5, same type of presentation for the water fund. The red bars again being the existing annual debt service, and the red bars being, the green bars being after the 2025 bonds. If you recall from our page 1, debt service is going to go up already in 2026 by about $1.1 million and go up another $1 million from this borrowing in 2028. And you can see it'll stay there roughly for the next about 23 years. This term of this component is a term of 25 years, again, to relatively match the useful life. The gold bars is not part of this bond issue, but this is what we talked about when we were at Finance Committee meeting. There's an anticipation that with the water transmission line, you're probably going to be looking at a borrowing, hopefully with Penvest, of about $41 million. The gold bars are really just layering that on top. Again, it's just forward-looking. That is not what you're approving this evening, but in kind of the concept of looking forward and transparency, those are what you're expected to be looking at with the water transmission line project coming. So that's really where we stopped with the discussion of the Finance Committee, the numbers numerically on the first page, and the graphical presentations. Everything else behind this is really all the numbers, and when I say all the numbers, is a lot of numbers. I'm happy to go over each one of these if you'd like, but really they're just the numbers behind the graphical presentations. Page 6 is the source and uses. Again, the bond issue will be $41,095,000, and that'll provide the $38.5 million for the projects. I'll just highlight them. Page 7 is the general fund component of the new bonds layering over the existing debt service. Page 8 is the sewer fund component. Page 9 is the water project component. And then page 10 really just brings all three components together. It's really the entire bond issue. While we want to show you that, again, really, you got to look at this almost as if you're doing three borrowings in one, again, to economize on the related costs in the process. So with that, I'll certainly entertain any questions. You've already introduced the ordinance. The ordinance, among other things, would accept the bid or the proposal from R.W. Baird. Your bond counsel, Rhonda Lord, is here from Saxon Stump, and certainly if there's any questions on the ordinance, she would entertain those. But with that, I will pause and see if there's any questions, or else you can move forward with your vote.
Can I get a copy of what you gave Liz?
I just want to share a little bit more about the sewer graph. I know Daryl had mentioned that we would talk a little bit about that. So he had mentioned that during the Finance Committee meeting on March 3rd, we had talked about the water fund having a PenVest loan and overlaying with that. As we had some further discussions with the Public Works Department after that meeting, we decided to do the same thing with some funding that we're going to need for the sewer fund. Likely it will likely come at the beginning of 2026, but we wanted to just show that in the graph as well. So that's what the yellow bars are. It's about 9.7 million that we're anticipating would need to come from PenVest. So again, it's not as part of the bond for this evening, but that's that. And it's three different projects. Nobody from Public Works could be here this evening, so I will read the projects. But if you have more detailed questions about those, I will have to get back to you. One of them is a new clarifier. These are all for the wastewater facilities. One is some emergency work on our chlorination facilities, and the other is to improve our screening handlings in the south train that we have.
Thank you both. And we had a pretty thorough presentation during the Finance Committee. Thank you both for the explanation. Any council comments? Councilor Ahmed?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just one question, and mainly just regarding the general fund projects. It says the dated date is 4/29. Is that when the funds will be available to the city, or when will these funds be available to the city after the passage of the ordinance?
Yes, your assessment is absolutely correct. Should you move forward and authorize this evening, we would close on April the 29th, and you'd have the funds available for your projects.
Thank you. And this is a question probably for Director Campbell. Given that the 4/29 date is when the funds will be available, when will we see the schedule of the projects start to happen, and will council have to will we have to re-vote on those ordinances, or will the city keep us abreast of when these projects, because some of these projects, such as the Welcome Center renovations, the lighting bollards, replacement at Central Market, the improvements to Ann and Juniata, I mean, some of these projects the community is waiting for. So when will we be able to know to tell them this is happening?
Yeah, we can come back with reports. We don't need new ordinances when the projects start, so it would be a reporting out, but we can definitely do that.
And I'll just add, I think the microphones do sound low tonight, don't they? I'll just add that in June, council will be presented with a capital plan that is looks out over the next 35 years, but there will also obviously be shorter term projects that will be on that, and there are time frames for delivering those projects, because we also need to make sure that we are spending bond funds in an appropriate time period. So that council will have a look at all of the capital projects that are projected moving forward in June. And so that'll be a great time to ask those questions, Councilor Ahmed, and also regularly, you chair the Public Works Committee. No, John. Regularly ask your committee leads for updates and projects that represent those areas.
Thank you, and I look forward to those updates.
Thank you, Councilor Ahmed. Oh, there we go. Any other council comments?
Bless you.
Bless you. Any questions from the public?
Darlene Bird, South Ann Street. Number one, first I asked if I could get a copy of what you gave. Number two, we have this new council chambers. We have that up there. This isn't my first time saying this. It would be very good for the public if what you're looking at could be displayed so we can also see what you are looking at as far as the report that he presented to you so we can get a better understanding of what he's talking about. And I think I've asked this several times that if council is given of information, that is also displayed for the public so that we can see. I think my question is about the projects not coming out until June. I am very concerned that we're borrowing the money now and council's not really aware of the timeline of projects. I think even during the home rule, we asked for a 5-year capital campaigns that would be going out. I don't think there's enough information that I heard receiving about what projects we're spending this. Is it 41,965? Is that what I heard?
41,095,000.
95,000 that they're asking for. I know they said that the projects come to 38. Is that correct? 38 million and some dollars. Maybe an explanation on what the extra $3 million is, where that's going would be helpful. I would like to know what council thinks, how's that going to affect the taxpayers that we're borrowing this money. We did hear that the bond rate was good. I was glad to hear that the city was in a positive mode. I'm really glad to hear that. I think council needs to be able to explain to the taxpayer, what does this really mean to us? I mean, you're sitting there and you're making those decisions. We already heard that our water bill is going to go up 14%. How does borrowing this money affect that? And how are we expecting to pay that? We're looking over 30 years on bond, which a lot of you will not be sitting on council. Probably a lot of us will not be sitting in the audience at that time. But I think there needs to be a more clear explanation to the public in what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Just one point of reference, we did receive a presentation when this was initially introduced regarding the projects that this will fund from the general fund, water fund, as well as sewer fund. Also, the debt service was included in the projections when we were doing forecasting and when we passed the 2025 budget, just for some clarification. Any additional public comment?
One more for City Council and the Finance Committee here.
Mr. Mina, if you could just say your name and address.
Of course, John Mina, 24 West Main Street, Strasburg, Pennsylvania. When you guys were getting underwriters, like for the bidding process, did council or the Finance Committee kind of check or do their due diligence with any of these banks and if they're scaling back their DEI policies or anything like that? You know, with how the country is weaving away from some of those important issues, we want to make sure that we're not paying out banks that are kind of going away from what the city, what's important to the city. So is that something you guys did from a due diligence standpoint, looking at who's coming to the table with their bids and if they're stepping away? Because a lot of major institutions and banks have kind of scaled away or cowardly backed away from DEI. So I'm just asking if that's something you guys had taken in consideration at that.
Thank you, Mr. Mina. I know there's a specific process when it comes to the bidding. Director Campbell, do you want to elaborate a little bit on that, or Daryl?
There's a process that goes through the bond auction. We don't typically review the policies for banks.
Yeah. And it's, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, it's typically required for us to go to the lowest interest rate that's presented? That's
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And just for my curiosity, if council ever did want to know about specific policies that any financial institution does bid on, is there a way for us to find that information out?
Yeah, we could look at the bank policies, but we don't typically do that in the bond auction, so.
And I can also just say that much of our investments are with banks are through the pension boards, and the pension boards are not controlled by council or even myself, although I serve as president of the pension boards. They are made up of retirees and active employees who are focused on their retirement funds and the returns. We have had conversations regarding these issues in the past, and there's there's a lot of people on the pension boards who have a lot of different points of view about this.
Thank you for the clarification. Any additional questions or comments from the public?
Okay, Susie, do I have to say it again?
Yes, please.
Susie Gomez, North 100 block of North Reservoir Street. So while you guys are looking at projected reports and planning for your futures ahead, and home rule is basically a positive view in the city because taxpayers are the only ones that are going to be burdened with this bond. Okay, there's grants that come up, you know, projects you have mentioned, Ahmad, projects for Ann Street and Juniata. We know that those projects were already paid for. Izzy secured a $500,000 grant for those projects. And then January 20th, 24, there was a construction company that came with a presentation to us at the school in Washington and shared that they were already paid $450,000 on that project. So what you were mentioning has nothing to do with this bond that they're discussing as far as projects are concerned for Southeast. The other thing is, I just want to mention that as you continue to burden us as taxpayers in the city to look at a bond that is going to be secured for the next 25, 30 years that our children would have to pay for, because as the mayor mentioned, she's already on the president board. She has her future plans, and it's well established. That's why you guys ignore us, because it's not what we want. There's no common interest here. There's no commonwealth. There's just socialism in this administration. It goes back and forth. We know that $9.1 million was given to the water system for a grant, along with the $7 million. You know what I mean? There's money pouring in from grants. There's other means of grants that can be established so that we can pay a debt, not go more further into debt and deprive the people, and especially our children, while you secure your futures. Shameful.
Any additional questions or comments from the public?
Patrick, excuse me, Patrick Thalrath, Hebring Street. I just want to say it's embarrassing, the political sleight of hand you pulled when that gentleman asked about which banks and financial institutions you're collaborating with. These are institutions that cause untold suffering across the world, that are collaborating with our fascist government in Washington, and you just ignore it. You just brush it away as if it doesn't matter. Thank you.
My name is Brian Nelson. I got a little too close here, sorry. So my name is Brian Nelson. I live off of Columbia Avenue, right outside Lancaster City. And so I completely understand kind of your guys' point when you're talking about the bonds and stuff like that. But did you guys do any due diligence at all? And I understand the bank thing too, but I do hope that you guys do consider in the future actually looking into who you're doing business with. I think that would be a good practice. So maybe that's something that you guys can look at in the future. But in terms of like the bonds and stuff, did you guys do any due diligence to find out if there were any other sources of funding for these projects? Or did you just jump straight into, let's get a loan? So I just want to know kind of what that process looked like for you guys. And did you figure out, could we get a grant? Could we, maybe use some federal funding? What options did we have before we burden our citizens with 40, whatever it was, millions of dollars of debt that gets paid onto the taxpayer? No, we're paying you. So, I mean, I would hope you guys can figure that out.
Yeah, happy to add some context. Typically, whenever these projects come, I know the administration works very hard, and the team at City Hall works very hard to find other funding opportunities. Many of our projects are grant funded. A good example, which I think was mentioned earlier with the Ann and Juniata Streetscape project, we did receive $450,000 in the Keystone Communities grant, but that still leaves $950,000 unfunded, which will be funded by the bond. So this administration, I know, does work hard to look for other funding sources to try to alleviate some of the pressure on the taxpayer, but good question. Anything that I'm missing, Director Campbell, with that?
I think you mentioned most of it. I would just say that many of the projects in the project list do have grant funding associated with them, but they often require some sort of match, and so that's what's listed in the projects.
Thank you.
And I'll just add one more thing to that, which is that we are under significant, and I'll be talking a little bit about this in my remarks, regulatory pressures in which we need to meet certain milestones to address water quality and other issues. Please also recognize that our water and sewer systems serve customers in and outside of the city, and that when we borrow funds, there are a variety of ways to finance, and that usually is borrowing through bonds, through going out to banks and getting a low bid, or using the state revolving loan program that is operated through PennVest is another option. So the borrowing for these size of projects is a significant infrastructure project. So one that we're working on right now is a 42-inch main replacement that is running 13 miles from the Susquehanna River into the city. That's approximately, it's on the verge of probably $100 million between design and construction costs, as well as material costs. Just to give you a scope of the size and scope of projects that we're talking about. So I'm also particularly proud that we have $70–80 million of grant funding under management. And I will also just say that I expect us to not have that opportunity because federal grants are drying up.
Thank you, Mr. Srirachi. Any additional questions or comments from the public? All right. Mr. Harris?
Ms. Darling would like to...
I'm sorry, Ms. Burton, do you have a comment?
I just wanted to say that I believe that I understand the bonds and I understand for the water and everything, but I think when we talk about these other projects of parks and everything, to actually get a bond to be able to, do these parks, we have to come up with a better solution. We're talking about 25 years. How many times are the parks going to be redone? How many times has the Milburn Park been done since you were on council? Let's just take the 8 years. And I mean, to say this for 25 years, I do, and I agree with what's happening with the water and the sewer, but I think these other projects, we do not need to be getting a bond to do these projects, because that's on taxpayers, and there's got to be other ways to finance them. And I think that should be taken in consideration when talking about how much money we're trying to borrow now.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, Mr. Vice President, on the motion to amend. Mr. Matt?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craft?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Nay.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
And now on the amended bill. Mr. Matt?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese? Aye. Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Nay.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Great. We'll move on to resolution number administration, resolution number 18, 2025.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the disposal of certain obsolete records in conformity with the retention and disposition schedule for records of Pennsylvania municipalities.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Diaz?
Yes, Lancaster introduced a resolution number 18, 2025, which will authorize the disposal of certain obsolete police records. This action aligns with retention and disposition of schedule of records from Pennsylvania municipalities as outlined in the Municipal Records Manual. The city has previously committed to the following schedule through Resolution 7 back in 1975. The resolution allows Police Bureau records to supervise the disposal of specific outdated records, ensuring compliance with state guidelines for municipal records and management. And for those that don't know, it's basically citations like traffic, non-traffic records from 20 to 21, animal compliance, basically incident reports, records from 21 to 22, abandoned vehicles, incident reports, records from 2018 to 22, permits and related application, handicap application records from 2018 to 2021, noting that these applications expired December the 31st. And let's see, it was issued, 2021 application expired on December 31st, 2021. And that is it.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. Any questions or comments from council? From the public?
Jessica Lopez, Lancaster City. I don't believe that at a time where we're asking for transparency from our police department and getting gaslighting and getting lied to and not given evidentiary support to the things we're asking, we should be throwing away police records. I don't think that we can trust you enough to tell us exactly what you're throwing away. And I believe that this issue is out of touch right now and should be tabled until the impeding issue is actually taken care of. Y'all shouldn't be throwing nothing out in that police station right now. How are we supposed to trust yous when you literally just heard everything that went down in here week after week and want to sit up there and be like, we should throw stuff away? If I clean my house right before a raid, they're going to be digging in my trash looking for the evidence. Where's the disconnect here? I didn't even know this was on the agenda, but like, where's the disconnect here? Do you not live around here? I know for a fact some of yous do. What do yous not see? Our kids go to school together. Yous live on the same blocks. You're drinking the same water. What are yous not getting about the issues? And why do we think that laughing in our faces and promoting things like this is okay? Y'all didn't sit down and be like, they're gonna not trust us to do this right now? Anybody?
Mr. Vice President. I will say that this was tabled at the last meeting, given the discussions we were having at the last meeting. I felt it was most appropriate to wait until Chief Mendez or the mayor was available to answer any questions. The mayor is here this evening, so that's why I moved to bring it back on the agenda tonight, because we do have the ability to get the questions answered.
I appreciate that, Councilor Ahmed. Now, so then the question is, where's the real list of what you'll be getting rid of? And how do you really prove that that's what you are getting rid of? We don't have transparency from our police department. We can't go in there whenever we please
That's a fact. It's not a public space. But, so you can just do whatever you want, throw away whatever you want, and we're just supposed to trust and believe this. I feel like, I don't know who else stands with me on this one, it needs to be tabled again. That's my comment on that.
I second that. This is an extremely tone-deaf thing to put forward to us at this moment in time. I think it's disgusting that we would even talk about it. I hope that each and every single one of you votes nay, because this is the kind of thing that, we talked about a public review board. And this is the kind of thing that a public review board should be looking at, not the police force. Not you guys, us. Because it's ridiculous that, we keep talking about these issues with police violence and police violence all over the country. And yet you are here talking about, 21, 22? That's only 3 years ago. That's not long enough. They've been doing police violence for the past for like decades. I don't want those records gone. I want each and every single one of them held accountable for what they've done.
That's right.
This is like each and every single one of you needs to vote no, just flat out. I don't even want it tabled. I want it gone. I want a public review commission. They're the ones that should be making these decisions, not the police, not us. I don't trust the police force. They've shown over their last statements, we cannot trust them. Why do you think I would trust them to throw something in the shredder? I can't even trust them with the evidence that they gather from somebody's home, let alone the evidence that's sitting right in their own halls. So, I'm sorry, I'm just flustered right now because it's baffling. I came here because I saw this on the agenda. I saw it, and this is why I'm here. Because this is ridiculous, and you guys need to vote no, or I hope that each and every single one of you gets a challenge for your seat. I don't think that you deserve a seat on that council if you vote for this.
So again, this council creates Commission of Black and Brown Affairs related to police brutality. This was related to police brutality. You're telling me that in 2020 you had established this commission? Why are we here then? Why are we here? Are you lying to us, Jamie? Now, in regards to these records being thrown away, we all know that these little citations and everything wants to make you guys look better so that your citation can disappear, so that Izzy's citation can disappear, so that Amanda Bakay's citation can disappear. There's a lot more to this picture. We're not idiots, okay? So just like Jessica said, why should we not table it? Doesn't make sense. Your records can go away, but we can't get justice? Crazy.
Councilor Diaz, would you like to reiterate the explanation around the resolution and what it entails in disposing, or what records it's disposing of? Just for clarity for the public.
For clarity, as Jessica said, we would need to speak to the mayor because she is the one that authorizes what the police are going to do.
So I'm happy to speak to this. This resolution to destroy safety records, as Councilor Diaz walked through, our first citations, animal complaints, abandoned vehicles, permits, and related applications. It is the purview of council to make a determination about whether or not these records are disposed of. I would also say that this is in keeping with policies and practices that are used per the Municipal Records Manual, which governs all of the municipalities across Pennsylvania. I also understand that that there is a feeling in the room that this feels like, why are you talking about destroying records at this particular moment? I understand and I hear that. I would also say that this is a pretty regular thing that happens. We bring it to council as a matter of transparency and in ensuring that we are following the Municipal Records Manual. This recommendation is submitted by the records supervisor, who is a civilian staff member at the Police Bureau, and council may decide what it would like to do related to this resolution. We have these records. They're there from to 8 years ago, and you can decide what happens to them.
Thank you, Mayor Sarachi.
If I may, Mayor, is there a right to know, which I doubt because it's a Pennsylvania law, for the community to look at those records, which I'm not sure if that's possible. But
I'm not sure either. If somebody wants to see these records, they could submit a right-to-know request to review the records. That would need to go through the right-to-know process, and that's available to anyone in the room or beyond.
Thank you.
Can I rebuttal to that?
Just 30 more seconds, please.
Again, I reiterate, there was a et cetera at the end of that. Other related records. So other related records could really be anything. And at a pivotal time where we're looking for our future mayor to take a stand, you have a position to say no. We don't trust it. And until you find a way to make us feel comfortable, we have a $76.8 million police budget. Those records have a place to be stored. We paid for it. Hold on to them, build trust in your community, and then figure out what to do with the paperwork later. That's my suggestion on that, because I recently watched somebody go through the right to know process, and they were denied the body cam footage they asked for and forced into a 30-day extension because you don't want to give up the body cam footage. We can't trust the police department, and the Right to Know Act isn't in place to protect us either. So who is? You? Say no. It's that easy.
if I may, Counselor.
Councilor Diaz.
I think that what the community is talking about is that they do want a Citizens Law Enforcement Advisory Committee. And by placing that, this is going to give everybody the opportunity to look at records like them. And I did bring this up to several people in the community. I forget the young lady's name, but also to Susie. And I spoke directly to city council members that I know in Harrisburg. If the community wants to hold on it, let's vote, let's hold on it. But I think this is something that I could make a motion on at a later date for review for the bill of 90/80/2020 from Harrisburg to see if it's something that could fit the community. And of course, the solicitor and the mayor will have to look at it as well.
Councilor Diaz, just for clarification, we are discussing resolution number 18/2025.
That is correct.
We're not introducing another bill at this moment.
No, not at this point.
Any other additional? Councilor Ahmed?
When I made a motion to table this resolution at our last meeting, it was under the impression that we were going to have a report requested by council. And since it is not this evening, and we're hoping that it will be in the April legislative agenda, I will make a motion to table this resolution until that report.
Second.
We have a motion to table the resolution. Did I hear you correctly, to the next committee meeting, Councilor Ahmed?
Yes, to the April legislative agenda. So that would be at the April committee meeting to be reintroduced.
To be introduced, and we have a second. Any question, comments on the motion to table? Public comment?
Sergeant Byrd, did you say you're waiting on a report and you're hoping you have that report by the April meeting? I didn't quite understand that.
Yes, at the last meeting of council, I made a motion to table this resolution that was passed unanimously. I made that motion in the thinking that the report that was requested would happen this evening. And given that the community has requested to table it further, I will make that motion to table it until the April legislative agenda. And we hope to have a report from the Public Safety Committee and Chief Mendez at that committee.
And if the report's not given, you would not bring it forward, is that correct?
We would revisit it at that time.
Okay.
And I'll just add that it was my understanding that the report to council by Chief Mendez was for the April committee meeting, and Chief Mendez will be here for that meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. I really appreciate that. And I just want to second the bill number 8, 2020 to be adopted and looked at by council respectfully. I'm just reiterating that. You guys each have it.
Any additional public comment? Mr. Harris?
On the motion to table, and to clarify, this is until the April 8th meeting?
Correct, and we will revisit it at that time.
Thank you. Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
That concludes our legislative agenda this evening. Next, we'll move into our second public comment period. This is open for comment about issues not on the agenda. Duration of comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Jessica Lopez, Lancaster City. And this, of course, is about what we all really came here for. So let me start by saying I echo the members of the community that already approached and spoke today, but trust and believe we expected the reaction that we got at that press conference. We expected them to gaslight, we expected them to lie, and our community still waited. We did not harass yous in the process. We waited for that footage to only be denied for the police department to hide under the fact that there was juveniles in the videos. So then I ask, if it's because of the juveniles in the videos, why were the parents denied the footage? If it's to protect the children in the videos, why deny the parents the body cams? Why make them wait a whole nother month to find out what really happened to their children that night? This is disgusting. This is disgusting. Like, and I mean it in all serious. It's not an exaggeration when I say it. My kids are 2 times bigger than those boys. And they're 15 and 16. If your cops are scared of those boys, they're going to be terrified of my sons. And I promise you, it's not a threat. Should that ever be one of my sons, I'm not coming to city council with my issue. And that's the real problem. That's where things are going to get. People can't trust our members to take care of this situation right now. To allow that to attach those kids to guns the way they did and criminalize them the way they did and be like, oh, let's get upset because we put in so much work in our police department. If you take out your trash this week, you still have to take it out next week. New people come, new problems arise, and you still have to handle them. In 2020, a situation transpired in downtown Lancaster. The city rioted, right? And you needed somebody to blame. I went to jail for 10 months so you could tell people to stop throwing frozen water bottles at your police station. And guess what? Nobody did it since. If you don't penalize the officers that are doing this, those other officers that are learning underneath them are going to think it's okay to do this. So stop saying, oh, we can't put him on administrative duties. You can. No, you can't fire him. But you can keep him inside his cage. And all of yous know that this is not, whether it's through federal lawsuit or through things y'all done hush-huched and cleaned up, Hatfield's been an issue. It's not new.
Ms. Lopez, I'm going to ask 30 more seconds, please.
Yes, sir. It's not new. These are 20-year-plus senior officers that were taught racist policing ways and are embedded in them. This is conditioning. We all know about racist conditioning. So as you continue to perpetuate this cycle and capitalize on us instead of protecting us, and I have to say yous because yous are who I talk to. And until y'all change this, it's going to keep doing this. This policing for profit that's going on around here while yous bleed us for all our tax dollars, what do you think you're going to have left? Again, you can't fire him, fine. Keep him inside the building. And stop saying you can't do that, because you can. You make the ordinances. So y'all made the ordinance with that the bike reflector issue came from. You oversee the mayor, who oversees the chief of police, who oversees the officers. You can tell him, keep your job, we'll continue to pay you. Sit at this desk. Is that against so that's against the agreement we have with the union?
Ms. Lopez, I would just want to maintain comments to 3 minutes, please.
Yeah, but the mayor just said something, so I was trying to hear what she was saying. So yes, that's against what the union contract is?
What I would say is that a lot of the things that are being discussed, there are real limitations, and we are talking past each other. And so I hear what the demands are. There's not been a conversation that's been had outside of this chambers, and I'm not sure that anything that I say tonight is going to be helpful to this audience at this moment.
It's not about what you say, it's about what you do.
And I understand.
That's the thing. It's not about what you are talking about or what I'm talking about. It's about what you do.
The demands that are being made, there are limitations on city councils. There's lots of limitations. There is.
So is it a facade, and we have city council members and a mayor that's supposed to oversee a department that really oversees itself?
Let me just tell you.
I'm going to sorry, just
Go ahead.
point of order real quick. We'll let the mayor respond, and then we're going to conclude this point. Thank you. Mayor Sarachi.
It is clear that we need to have a better and shared understanding of police practices and protocols and the legal constraints that are overseeing the functions of the police bureau. Chief Mendez was asked to come and speak to council, and he will come to talk about use of force, training, and to answer other questions that council has. We have many conversations in the past about some of the things that are being requested, and I have had the responsibility to be honest that the demands that are being asked for cannot be met through the things that are being requested or demanded from the community. Because there are systems beyond these bodies that control what is available in terms of oversight. I will also say that the police bureau, in contrast to what you may perceive related to the bureau right now, is very different than when I got here in 2018. There has been a tremendous amount of work done. They have put in an amount of effort, especially over the last years, led by Chief Mendez, that I'm very proud of.
And that's why you're taking offense instead of addressing the situation. I understand you've put in work to change the department. Yes, you fired a few people, you did this, you did that. Well, there's another issue that has arisen, and it needs addressed. It doesn't need a constant reminder that you've done things in the past. Like I said, you have to keep taking out the trash. The limitations, whatever the case may be, maybe you do need to have a conversation with your community and fully explain who you've put in place here, because yous are no longer in place, apparently.
Ms. Lopez, in order to be fair to...
I'm walking off.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Heidi Shirk, 100 block of East Lemon Street. I have two very boring questions. What happened to item B on the agenda? Did we miss that?
I'm sorry. That was administration number Bill 2, 2025. I mentioned at the top of the meeting that was going to be removed from the agenda.
I missed that. Okay. And then my second question or comment is earlier during the first public comment. it seemed apparent that there's a time when the person at the podium asks questions or makes a statement, and maybe at the closure of their statement is when you respond, but it didn't seem like that was explained to the person at the podium. So I was just wondering if that's something in the future, either Mr. Arroyo, whoever's in that seat, or Mr. Harris can just explain, like, we will not respond to you and your questions until you finish your comment. So just a little note on that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jenny Calabrese, 500 block of North Street. My comment is specifically for Mayor Sirachi. I think it's deeply embarrassing to be a grown woman who took an elected position and sits on this board and smirks at the people who are coming to you with valid concerns. You are sitting there and you are defending the police and you are saying we have come so far from 2018. That's probably true. I don't know the specifics. That's probably true. We also abolished slavery, which used to be a system that was held up by the law, and abolished that. Do you want a cookie for it? Do you want a cookie for doing the right thing for the people of this community and Black and brown people and talking to your constituents in such a condescending way? It is not hard to take one step back and have some humility and recognize that, okay, there might be systems in place, but number one, skirting around them does not make the public feel safety or trust in you as an elected official. And number two, systems can change. You can advocate for them. Look at Philly. Look at what Philly just did. I don't remember the name of the organization. I think it's like CPOC, but their police review board, whatever that's called, they took steps just in January to change how they work with the public to defend people because the systems in place before were not working. So I truly, truly hope that you feel proud of the work that you have done, because you have done good work, but you have a long way to go, and I truly hope that the next person who takes your place has a little bit more humility and doesn't smirk at the people who come before them with concerns about teenagers who are brutalized at the hands of the police, which is not the first time this has happened in Lancaster, and we have not made progress since 2018, 2019, 2020. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Oakley Buscarino. I have to apologize for the deviation of topic, but I'm coming here representing Pennsylvania College of Art and Design and their entire over 400 student body. What excited many students about enrolling in this Lancaster-based art school was the artistic world that surrounded it and the creative life that flourishes in this city. However, a rise of tariffs and general pricing has made businesses shy away from reaching out to artists. In suit, the rise of artificial intelligence, due to its cheapness and accessibility, diminishes Lancaster's creative vision and neglects opportunities for PCAD's population. As students working tooth and nail towards success, we came here to remind you that PCAD is your creative pantry. There are over 400 unique artists that are seeking the chance to get their hands on client-based work, and as our careers are being threatened, we wish to become more an option for creative businesses and branding needs. I'm going to take time to circle back to AI, the very tool that has taken jobs from over 26% of illustrators internationally, according to the Society of Authors. 43% of artists seeing a decrease in their income because of it. The International Monetary Fund also claims that 40% of jobs aside from the art field are actively occupied by artificial intelligence. Although with its intent to amplify productivity, it has actively proven to cause significant job displacement. These statistics are exemplified in the journalism market, for example, which is facing nasty competition with ChatGPT, the famous AI writing assistant that almost half of college students nationwide abuse for their assignments and coursework. 1 in 5 students in America use ChatGPT to write essays, according to the Pew Research Center. 70% of students nationally use it to facilitate research. With this tool growing to take up the forefront of education and industry, the journalism market has faced lower wages and minimal job opportunities, while AI produces work that lacks human understanding. Lancaster's community of being a visual arts and small business emporium is also at risk of similar happenings. It may be cheaper for business owners to generate AI artwork, but you take away the human touch that your branding designs and illustrations need. On top of that, you strip a job, freelance, or internship opportunity from a selection of over 400 growing artists right here in Lancaster currently attending PCAD. Students who are paying over $100,000 to deem themselves qualified to make that work for you. Other job markets will crumble following the arts if AI isn't rejected. All of this to say, this is a cry for help. A plea from student creatives who are preparing to step foot into these attacked industries. Lancaster's uniqueness has been created by the hands of creatives for years. There are students here eager to utilize their creativity for you for free, and as a city that encourages such entrepreneurial ideas, we ask that you seek out our passionate students for your design needs. Lancaster is human art, and as residents of Lancaster, we ask you help this mission strive. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker, please.
Daryl Legacy, 100 block of North Mary. I'm sure that the finance people were probably not looking forward to this today, but this one speaks to you at least a little. We're lucky that Moody's, when they rated us, didn't take into account the fact that if the police keep acting with impunity, we're going to have multi-million-dollar lawsuits that our city is going to be paying, and we're going to deserve it. All right? So far, we've been lucky that they are mostly brutalizing poor people and brown people. Someday they're going to get a rich kid. They're going to get someone that knows a really good lawyer, or there's going to be a lawyer that says this is a slam dunk case, and we're going to be paying millions, tens of millions of dollars to people because of the police. So if you don't care about any of these other things, I realize there's things you cannot do. You can call them out. Instead of standing with them at their press conference, you can say, no, I will not stand with you. I do not agree with you. Maybe I can't fire you, but I wish I could. And I think even if you just care about the money part, this is a serious problem that we are not solving. We're not even trying to solve it. And I just find myself flabbergasted by the fact that we cannot even do the simplest thing like a review board. Like, that is the bare minimum. And so I really, really ask this city council to please put that on the agenda for the next meeting. Thank you.
Taylor Raymond, 500 block of St. Joseph Street. So it's my understanding that the reason the body cam footage isn't being released is because there were minors involved, and their privacy needs to be protected. I understand that. I don't want to know the identities of people that have gone through something like that. Something that can be done is you can blur the faces of people, and that will help protect their identity, and will satisfy part of the demands that have been made for the footage to be released to us. Additionally, this is a separate thing. The last meeting that I was at, it was mentioned that there had been lead pipes. Was that for the entirety of Lancaster City?
I can answer your question if you want to wrap up your comments.
Okay. If it is for the entirety of the city, I never received it in the Southwest End, neither did any of the people living in my apartment building. And I just need to know why that is. That's all.
Absolutely. You should have received notice with your utility bill or your water bill. The city is currently undergoing a lead pipe inventory to see where there potentially are lead pipes throughout the city. But you should have received that. If not, talk to you offline on where you can find more information about that.
Vice President Rowe, could I also clarify that I believe that in the case of a renter, it went to both the landlord and the renters. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
And this, and also if you can just confirm with me your address later, I will make sure that we follow up. And I just want to just say that we are talking about, there's 50,000 lines. We have to have two forms of verification for the state for those lines. Right now, we have identified about 1% of the lines We are much more concerned in the city of Lancaster related to lead paint than we are to lead pipes, but this is a federal mandate. This is part of some of the costs that you heard about related to water just a little bit ago. And so happy to follow up. And apartment buildings are a little more complicated, but you only have 1 meter coming in, and if we've already identified it, we're not following up with all the renters.
Thank you for that clarification. I missed that piece. Thank you. Next speaker.
Brian Nelson, right off of Columbia Avenue, Banyan Circle Drive. I understand that we talked a lot about the failures of our police department and the failures of the mayor in terms of holding them accountable. But I wanted to ask a question for each and every single one of you sitting there right now. With ICE going through communities, deporting individuals who are not even undocumented. You know, they were deported because of their tattoos. Some were even American, born here. And then you also have the Trump administration just going through and cutting federal funding for multiple programs throughout the country that, you know, provide necessary food and housing for people who lack the resources to do so. I want to hear from each and every single one of you what your commitment is over the next 4 years to do something about this and what you guys plan to do in that position that you hold so dearly. What are you going to do to make sure that Lancaster remains safe and remains a bastion for those who come here to work and pay taxes and live just according to their values? So what is your commitment to that right now?
If I may, Vice President, I'd like to answer that question.
Councilor Diaz, just to wrap up public comment, can you hold your comments until council comments later?
Okay.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, so Beta Rosa, Lancaster Township. I just had a question, I guess, for the mayor and the other councilors if they would like to answer. What is in your power in terms of this policing and what we're talking about? What is in your power? What are you able to do? In terms of Mayor Sirachi, I've seen you the past couple of years address the public. I've even seen you cry in public about the policing and how much it's affected you, but in terms, again, of your advocacy for your constituents, how does that translate over? Because then when you do a public press conference aligning yourself with the police, it doesn't really align my trust or transparency to want to work with you. I know your term is ending, so I'm sure you don't really care about us that much, but at least that's how it feels. And I did say Lancaster Township, but the water, the sewer, the police, they all operate within the township. Am I correct in saying that? No, so...
You have your own police department.
Okay, so the Lancaster City Police didn't come through my neighborhood then, and that's not them going around. Okay, thank you.
Next speaker, please.
John Tolan, first and only block of Wise Ave. Mayor Sirachi, your response to Jess Lopez was kind of vague, and I think that most people here would like to know what the actual limitations are, and if there's some kind of town hall we could have so that we could actually go through what the proper channels could be to have some kind of actual action happen when it comes to maybe the death duty, or what we would need to do in order to put pressure on the police department to fire specific police officers, or why can't we do that? Like, you're being very vague, and I think giving us more detail would kind of help.
Hi, my name's Taylor. Taylor Enterline. I live in Manheim Borough, but I work here in the city and have been put through the legal system here. Mayor Sirachi, your staying on your mayoral time here in Lancaster will be remembered and laughed at. You stood in 2020 in the streets, got your photos, and it did nothing. The police lied to us then, and they lied to you, and then you lied to us, and during that time. So what are they hiding now? And who are we protecting? We stood here 2 weeks ago, and every council member stood with the community and said it was disturbing and disgusting what we witnessed. And we all waited patiently while you were on vacation, which you're allowed to do. All imply implore us to do that. But then when you got back, we were expecting or hoping that maybe you would denounce the actions that you also witnessed in those videos, but no. You stood and did the most disgusting move by blaming the community, families, and the children involved. And are we willing to accept this type of policing for our children for the crime of no bike reflectors and lights and pulling fire alarms? And now you sit here and dismiss us when we are making demands and trying to rebuild the trust in the community, to have transparency and accountability, which everyone seems to want for us, and to continue to work together. But then it's like just shot down, and it doesn't seem like you are willing to do that with us. And that's just really like disdain, like it just sits with me. At the same time, we are going to continue to put children who were riding bikes through the legal system to make a stance and continue forward with this. And I think as we see, when the city wants to make an example of someone, they will do so. Thank you.
Any additional public comment?
And I just want to say for the end, lead paint is the job of housing. Lead pipes are the job of the city. If you would focus on the area, because it was already known before, Deneen, you took office, that the sewer plant was compromised. 30 years ago, we were in our last 10 years, the solutions were well overdue. But your concern was more about equitable solutions with long-term effects. Officer Hatfield has multiple encounters since 1989, okay? His excessive force for decades has many people in this city frightened. And with this incident that happened on these young children, because they were children, 14, 15, they're children. It's unacceptable. It should be condemned. This officer should not be on the force. He has no self-control. It is clearly evident on that video that his training, I don't understand how you can pat him on the back and say, turn it around and look at these children and say, you're the blame. It's unacceptable. Your ignorance to us as taxpayers, I mean, it's going to go down in centuries as to who you are. But again, you're going to be the president of the home rule, so you're already positioned. Yeah, sucks. Sorry.
Next speaker, please.
Okay, second. Hello, my name is Betty Jones, South End Concerned Neighbors. My address is 222 South End. I'm here to talk about the issue with trash. Okay, on 211, our area, from the 100 block down to the 400 block, we received citations for trash that was blown. It's not something that we did. Mother Nature blew the trash. And all of a sudden, I got a citation, so I called, and the person that I spoke with told me they got a phone call from someone talking about the trash and the debris. So everyone from the 100 block to the 400 block got a $25 citation first. I called them and I told them, I went outside and I'm like, okay, what's trash? I picked up, there was a pizza box. I have a tree in front of my house, so there was tree debris, the limbs and everything was on the ground. Plus our property at 259 South Ann Street. Okay, they came and they cleaned it up. We have pictures to show that we went by there today, and there's trash, boxes, and everything out there again. Okay, so I, along with everyone else, we have the $25 plus the $200 fine. I told the lady, I'm not paying it. I'm going to fight it because it's not something that I did. I went outside and I seen whatever that was there. I picked it up.
I'm sorry.
If you look at...
There's public comment happening at the moment, if you don't mind.
Okay, she have the pictures. She have the pictures to show you because I was talking, since I'm talking, I wanted you to see. That's the reason why she's there. Okay, so, I just wanted to, talk about that because I don't usually get up and say something, but with something, they're charging me, want to charge me $200 for a cleanup. And if you look at the pictures, you'll see that what they picked up wasn't nothing. It was branches that fell off my tree. The city would not give me permission to cut the tree down, so therefore the branches are falling down. And when they're little branches, they're not big stuff. And I just don't see what she told me that they came and someone cleaned something up. For picking up a box or whatever, you're going to charge me $200 for that? I mean, I could have picked that up myself. Wish I didn't even see anything. But if you guys look at the pictures, you'll see. There wasn't nothing like that. And I did call down, and I talked to the person, the lady, today, and I told her that we were going to fight it.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
I'm meeting with Director Campbell tomorrow, and I know that Ms. Bird had also followed up, and I thought that we had gotten some more information, but I will confirm tomorrow, and I'll be in touch.
I took pictures that way you can see it. I wasn't, I'm not trying to hide anything or whatever. I took pictures so they can see what was what. If it was a lot of trash or something like that, I can see it. But you're going to charge me $200 for maybe picking up something that came from the 100 block or someplace else? You're going to charge me $225? No, that's not right. And it's not just me. It's everybody. 19 people on our block. That's what the lady told me. She said 19 people got citation. That means from 100 block or whatever block it is, came blowing from wherever, and we all got a fine for $225. Nuh-uh, that's not right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will, again, I'm meeting with Director Campbell tomorrow morning, and I will talk with him about this. I understood you brought these concerns previously.
Yes.
And I will make sure that someone gets.
And I appreciate that. Yes. And I want to thank Councilwoman Diaz and Councilman Lashard for responding to the email that I had asked. We also asked about a report for stop signs. We haven't. I guess that's coming too.
That is, and so
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I sent your email to the wrong.
Okay.
An email address that you don't use as frequently, but now I know. And we'll get you that information as well. Now you've confirmed.
Thank you. The thing I want to talk about was that zoning ordinance that got tabled. Is there an opportunity that the proposal could be placed on either the city website or a way that we can get a copy of that to see what is being proposed prior to, it coming before council?
Yeah, that was actually introduced during the Community Planning Committee during the last committee session.
Okay.
That was the, Lancaster Rec and Price Elementary rezoning, and that was tabled.
Oh, so it was for about the price. I did see that. I didn't know that's what this was in reference to.
That was introduced during the last Community Planning meeting. This was supposed to be the scheduled first reading, but that was removed from the agenda.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bird.
Jessica Lopez, completely off topic, but who's responsible for the removal of no parking signs and handicap signs when the people who asked for them no longer reside there?
That's Traffic Commission, and if you send Mr. Harris a note, he can communicate with the staff at the Police Bureau to send someone out to confirm that that person no longer lives there, and then Department of Public Works goes out and removes the sign.
Or if it's like zoning, so say they put no parking signs where there used to be a garage, and now said garage is a house. They should remove the sign, right? If said garage doesn't have vehicles going in and out of it. I live on a block that has street cleaning every week and about 4 handicap spots and no parking on one side. So it's like we need every space that we can get on Manor Street. So who reassesses when the zoning is up? Because I can't walk up and down Manor and figure out every spot that should be fixed. Who does that?
Again, it's my understanding that that is the purview of Traffic Commission, and I would send, if you have specific spots with an address, like if you can send a house number where there is a handicap space in front. I would also just say that that we do have a process of confirming that, and so that's what Traffic Commission does.
So just for future, like I appreciate the response and the information, but shouldn't there be like yearly, 5-yearly review when we're literally being incarcerated for not paying these parking tickets for places that shouldn't be?
We do, and we do have where you send in the information for Campbell to look at, and then we basically review it completely.
But we have to initiate the process.
You have to initiate, you would have to come also to the meeting, so like that thing, you can bring it forward to.
Yes, I'm not sure that you need to come to the meeting for just.
They don't want me in any meetings.
It's just a time thing because it's like at 3 o'clock.
No, but what I'm saying is, shouldn't there be something established where they do it without us initiating it because we're busy working for y'all tax money?
I believe that happens, but if someone moves before it expires.
Or like if somebody rezones a property and they're like, oh, we want to change this garage into a house, shouldn't a light go off and be like, ding, 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 is there no parking sign? Should we remove that? That's what I'm saying. Like when it comes to accountability and transparency of the people who are in place to actually do the job, it's not on me to do the job. I live in one house. That's the thing. Like, yeah, I'm going to do it for this one, but it's like, who's going to do it for the other 12 houses on the block and the other 50, 60, 90, 100 blocks in the city? People are literally paying out their ass for everything around here at this point. We should have somebody who's like, you know what? Let's be smart and not piss people off and just remove these signs.
Ms. Lopez, if you want to send me the addresses, I can look into that for you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
John Miner, Strasburg, Pennsylvania. I just want to leave you all with one last message tonight. I think it's really pertinent. It's really important. There are a whole lot of people in this room, in this city, in this greater community that I care for very deeply. And within the last month here, talking from everybody from the city and the county, I find that we again have come back here to a city council meeting united on a common front. Now, 2 weeks ago, we were united that we were kind of shocked, disturbed, and terrified by the video, how we saw it, right? That was the common theme. Now, we know what happened after that. I'm not here to relitigate that, but as I listen to all of you on that side of the things, in the community here, what I'm hearing is that this community is afraid of the Lancaster City Police Department. That is really not up for discussion. And it looks differently, right? The community behind me is addressing their fear because they feel that there's over-policing going on. I sense a fear from council and the mayor, that's me just talking out loud, because policing at a national and state and local level has just had its reckoning over the last 5 years. George Floyd wasn't in a vacuum. These are things that we all have been facing and looking at over the years, and it would be disingenuous for any elected official to act like there's not a policing issue in America. Lancaster has that same problem, and I see that there is a collective fear or anxiety, and it's for different reasons. I understand that. It's for different reasons, but we are still united in that fear. And within that, we need to negotiate on how to come together. Lancaster City needs its own truth and reconciliation. We need a moment where we come together like we have been and not just look at this as a system that cannot be changed. Think about it like this. The 13th Amendment didn't just happen because somebody said, oh, we're cool with freeing the slaves. Like, no, it was a fight. Apartheid didn't just end because Nelson Mandela snapped his finger. That's not how it happened. We can't accept the status quo because the status quo is unacceptable. And you guys know that because you guys have done work over the last 5 years. Even though there's not been a lot of credit thrown your way, right? I see that, and there's credit to be given to all of you. But right now, that credit's not going to be given, but I see the work you try to do. I acknowledge that the working group was a step in the direction. I acknowledge all of you coming down to the protests in 2020 and 21. I acknowledge all of that. I know that you guys don't want a bad city with bad police. I know that at my core, but the actions don't reflect the words all the time. And that's where you're seeing the passion being directed towards you all. So I believe that you guys want to do, I believe that you think that you want to do the right thing here. And what I think is there's unity in the disturbance of this issue. We're still disturbed. And I believe there's unity in that there is a fear of the police force and how they may react if city council does something, or how they may react with how the mayor says something or interprets something. There's a union. I get it. I know you guys are humans too. I just want you to take that message and let you know that I see you, but we need to get past it. We need to come together and have our own truth and reconciliation and unite around that fear and actually tangibly do something. I thank you.
Hi, my name is Manda. I live on where do I live? I live on Spruce Street, the 500 block. So I just came up here to also address the police brutality incident and the public's concern. I can't get the voice out of my head, like call my mom, call my mom. I can't believe that I had to hold my breath while I was watching that video the whole time, not knowing, completely expecting that that video would get worse, like so much we've seen in the news and the media here in our hometown. I completely believe that. I had to hold my breath because I didn't trust what I was watching. I didn't trust the Lancaster City Police with an innocent life in their hand, and a child at that. And why should that be our reality when there are plenty of tax dollars we put into police and the de-escalation and the training? The presence of protection and public safety is not lost upon us, but deranged beyond measure, twisted into a tool that feels more like a knife that's being sharpened into our backs. These are our own people, especially our black and brown people in the community. We need you to show up and show us that you care. The excessive use of force is unacceptable. The lack of security for my friends, our family members, the community here. I hold my breath again, because if the police aren't here for us, then who are they here for? I think you've been really vague tonight in dancing around your responses, especially you, Mayor. In language that doesn't even touch on the subjects. You've given us an unclear image of what the systems are in place, but please, we're not stupid. Help us understand, empower us. You've been vague and uninterested, just disingenuine, interacting with your community members and the needs. But you're who we elected to take care of us. And we've been clear. You've been vague and we've been clear. So what are you going to do? So we're asking again for accountability for the officers involved, public recognition of your shortcomings, not just your excuses, and to let you know we're afraid. Don't you care? Help us. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Brianna Sienkiewicz. I'm on the 700 block of Marietta Avenue. This is my first time speaking up here, but I moved here in 2022. I moved here because I wanted this to be a safe community for my son. My husband is Haitian, so my son is mixed. I always watched that video, and all I could see was my son on the ground, and it made me sob. I expect that living here, we are safe, but it makes me wonder because my son is not white, and he is never going to be seen as that. That could easily be him in 13 years. We're already facing a constitutional crisis in our federal government. People are already scared. We don't need to be scared in our local communities where we actually hold the power. So that's why I'm up here, because I can't remain quiet. I hope in 13 years I don't have to be standing here speaking about this. Thank you.
Any additional public comment? With that, we'll move on to the report of the mayor. Mayor Sarachi?
Okay, I'm going to talk about a few of the things that haven't been addressed so far this evening. Council received a report related to our tree program, and there was a question about a $1 million American Forest grant through the U.S. Forest Service to help bolster our street tree program in our neighborhoods. As you know, a number of our federal grants have been in question, and we've been working through that as best as possible. I'm pleased to let council know tonight that this grant is moving forward, and we will be working in our neighborhoods collectively to add more street trees. Neighbors can submit their own, have their own street tree planted right now, and there is more information about this program at the cityoflancasterpa.gov/planting. I know that Director Campbell has already mentioned the good news related to our bond rating as being moved from an A3 stable to A3 positive. As she mentioned, this not only lowers our bond interest rates, but affects other things that are always considered related to future insurance premiums and the like. So I just want to also thank Director Campbell, who has been in her position just over a year, 18 months, and has been working diligently to continue to move the city forward with the Home Rule Study Commission and the increased financial reporting, especially as it relates to our capital plan. All of those things are moving forward. You will be receiving your first quarterly financial brief in April and be receiving monthly reports moving forward, as well as those quarterly financial reports. And I'm underscoring this for former Commissioner Ms. Byrd, who I know that was something that was important to you and is important just in general. The other thing I want to let everybody know is that we are continuing our quarterly testing of PFAS in our water system, and our recent testing still has our running annual average above the DEP mandated limit for PFOA in water sourced from the Conestoga River. Lancaster County and much of the state continues to be under a drought watch, which is a major contributor to these higher results. And so just, remember running averages. If it is higher for a couple of quarters, that running average stays with us until we have several quarters of lower averages. The way that we get lower averages is if it rains and there's more water in the river. I wanted to make sure that for council's awareness that each time we go above the mandated running average, we must send out a letter to all customers. And I believe that those letters cost about $25,000 each time we send a letter, which we are required to do. And so we will be spending another $25,000 in the next few weeks. to alert residents to this fact. We continue to monitor this issue, explore solutions, and additional information about our PFAS and our testing results are posted on the City of Lancaster PA.gov. I also put in the caveat always that drinking water represents about 20% of your exposure to PFAS, and that drinking bottled water is not as safe, does not have to meet the same drinking water quality standards as water that is produced by the city. And so I just caveat that because buying bottled water is not going to avoid PFAS. And that concludes my report tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Sirachi. We'll move on to the report of President of Council. Council President did not have a report for this evening. Moving on to council comments. I'll open it up for council to speak.
If I may.
Councilor Diaz.
I just wanted to address the gentleman in regards to the immigration. I'm currently volunteering some hours, being that I am bilingual and had the opportunity to do intakes. If anyone is interested, there's a parish, it's called Parish Resource Center. It's at 2116 Lincoln Highway East. And if you know anyone that need the resources or the help, there will be our attorneys after the intake that will speak to them. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. Any additional council comments? Councilor Calix.
Thank you, Council President. In terms of immigration, legal immigration, as a council member, there isn't much we can do. Let's be honest. So what I can do, I can use my voice, my platform, my vote. I can speak out, and I have done that. You know, you use newspaper, everybody needs to speak out. And we can see that now many people are silent. They don't speak out because they are afraid. And I want to let you know that I support the call of the community. I support the community's call for greater transparency. And I encourage the police department to publicly release all past use of force, and including the latest use of force reports, ensuring residents have access to important public safety information. Open communication is essential to building trust and accountability. I am deeply concerned about the incident and the response provided in the recent press conference. Our community deserves full transparency and accountability in such matters. Our community deserves a commitment to just and equitable policing. Public safety is essential to any community. It's fundamental. But it's a collaboration between local government, police, and the community. Clearly, that collaboration is broken. I'm in favor of any measures that can help repair it, up to and including a civil review board. I think it's necessary to engage in an open and transparent discussion between committee members, city officials, and law enforcement to bring trust back to the community. That's my comment for tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Calix. Councilor Ahmed.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And I just wanted to react to the remarks of the gentleman about the immigration. There is a lot of efforts going on at the state level with different organizations here in Lancaster that I am a part of, and I would love to connect with you and talk about some of the advocacy we're doing at the state level.
Thank you. Any additional council comments? With that, I'll just end, one, I want to thank the community for showing up tonight, similar to the last council meeting. During the last council meeting, I mentioned that you guys are being heard, and I want to continue to echo that sentiment. I understand that the press conference that was recently given didn't answer everyone's questions. One of the things that what I'm hearing from the community is that there is broken trust. I think one of the things that we've learned from decades of public safety efforts is that there is a loss of trust there, and as much as we've done to rebuild it, to Ms. Lopez's point, we must maintain it. And I want to make sure that we continue to do so. There are a couple initiatives that are underway. One of the things that I'm committed to doing is making sure that data continues to be transparent, and where it's not transparent, where can we show more historical data so that way we can see some of the progress that we have made. I want you guys to hear from me. This is not picking sides. The one thing I do want to emphasize is that no progress is made in separation. This will take both the community, the police department, City Hall, and whatever new administration walks into this building in 2026, it requires unity. It can't be done through separation. So with that, I think there's opportunity for more community engagement, whether that's awareness on progress, whether that's education on process, or how can we do better? And I think there's always opportunities for improvement on both sides. And you can be empathetic and hold people accountable. And I will say that goes for both sides. Our community, our police department, we can hold each other accountable. We can also be empathetic in the process. So I know that doesn't answer anything to Mr. Mina's point. This stuff can't happen with the snap of a finger. Culture eats strategy for breakfast, and it's important that we make sure that we continue to build a culture in a community where everyone feels safe, and that will take time. But continue your advocacy, continue to speak to your council members, your mayor, your police officers. Building trust starts with conversation, and I appreciate you guys coming here to start that. Thank you. With no further council comments, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.
That works. See you tomorrow. Yeah, we don't have like a game. Thanks for coming. Yeah, of course.